Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Superstar PartyPlex 12 FPS. My name is Zen, and today I will be playing the Night Guard, Eggs Florentine. And joining me today is.
MJ, and I will be playing Archie.
Yay! So, like every game that Eggs is in, it is after closing hours at the PartyPlex. The place is all shut down for the night. Some of the lights turned off, some of the lights dimmed. Everything pretty quiet. And like in a lot of X's games, instead of just doing his normal security route, he's gonna do a little bit of snooping around, a little bit of asking some questions. And wouldn't you know it, he's heard that Archie is not the most comfortable with Harlequinette, and he'd like to know a little bit more about that. So, he heads out for Rockstar Row or whatever the equivalent is at the Partyplex, where Archie's room
Rockstar
is.
Alley?
Yeah, that works. Superstar Street.
Superstar. Yeah, that works. Rockstar Street?
Hmm. Let's.
We'll workshop it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Uh, but he figures a good place to start looking for Archie is probably his room. Uh, So he goes up to the door to Archie's room and knocks.
No answer. If he listens closely, he can kind of hear like the sounds of movement in there, so someone is home.
Hmm. Honestly, his first instinct is to try knocking again harder.
Like somehow just like perfectly at that moment, there's like a bigger clatter inside that blocks the sound.
And he sighs and reaches out to just open the door.
The door whoops up, and immediately a chair crashes into the wall, like face level with eggs right next to the door.
Oh, X like flinches back, and Handy's like, "What the fuck?"
See, inside, kind of like huffing and puffing a little bit, is Archie, and he said like his head snaps over to the door, and like for a second he looks like he's angrily glaring at them, but then his expression changes to one of surprise, and he's like, "Oh, uh, sorry, didn't see you there."
And X is like, "Only just got here, so that's not unexpected. Am I interrupting something?"
And like Archie looks down around like at the floor that's just littered with like broken bits and bobs. There's like a golf club impaled into the wall. The light fixture has been torn down slightly. And then he looks at Eggs and says, I'm not doing much.
uh, Hansy's like, "Really? Sure seemed like you were doing a lot."
I was just doing some, redecorating.
Right. The ever popular smashed and broken shit decorating style. You're pulling it off flawlessly.
Archie, I think he doesn't realize that the voice that's Handy, right? Talking.
Yeah, that's handy.
Because of the mask, he doesn't realize that voice is coming from Egg's watch instead of Egg's. Like he points at a finger, like, "Hey, I don't bust into your room to start criticizing your life choices."
uh, and X is like, I'm not here to criticize your life choices.
Archie raises a brow and says, "Why does your voice keep changing?"
Egg sort of like holds up his right wrist where Handy is, and he's like, it's not me, that's Andy talking.
She looks from eggs to the watch, back to eggs, back to the watch, and says, "Oh, you on a call with someone?"
No, no, it just likes to chime in.
We're making talking Raz watches
Uh, uh, and Eggs goes, not, not exactly. Archie can roll insight.
now. I would love to roll insight. What is your insight, Archie? Oh, +2. 6.
6. Yeah, I think with a 6 you don't get much except that there's something that he's not telling you with that answer.
Just imagine, like, Archie has gotten, like, closer and sort of looking down at the watch and then kind of, like, tilts his head and says, "Not exactly like a. Is it glitching?"
No, it's just like this now.
Archie blinks. And then he decides to just kind of, like, put a pin in that and just, like, shrugs and says, "Alright, then. Anyway, why are you here?"
Um, I it doesn't seem so important now. Uh, are you doing okay in here?
Archie stares, like, blankly at Eggs for, like, a good, like, beat, and then says, "I'm fine." Right as, like, the light fixture, like, breaks off and falls to the floor.
Can Eggs roll insight?
Yes. Oh my
Well,
god,
that's a
20. Unnatural
dirty
20.
20, yeah.
Okay, you can tell everything about this alligator. His face is an open book, despite how he's clearly trying to suppress whatever his natural expression would be. He's obviously embarrassed. He's obviously, like, a little annoyed. He's a little bit worried. And overall, he looks sort of like he has, like, cartoonish, like, little stress lines under his eyes. He's just his hair's slightly, like, ruffled. He's clearly just not doing too hot.
Yeah. Uh, I think Eggs
It's
is
like there's
like,
a tightness to his jaw.
hmm. I think Eggs is like, stupid question. Do you want to talk about it or something?
And she just, like, I want to say, like, in the air next to his head, an actual, like, buffer sign appears. And then he blinks and says, uh about what?"
About whatever's upsetting you enough that you're trashing the place like this?
"Oh, no, it's no big. I do this all the time."
That that doesn't really make it less worrying.
I can't say I don't see your point. But I mean, I'm managing. Ain't nothing broken that we can't replace.
Yet.
Yet. And like he's looked like over at Eggs with like maybe sort of like his expression is starting to become more guarded and defensive.
It's better to deal with it, to find another way of dealing with it before you wind up accidentally breaking something you can't replace, don't you think?
Maybe look. I know this looks bad, but I've got I got it handled. I ain't some wild animal. I can control myself long enough to break the things that I know are okay to break. Yeah, occasional arcade cabinet inside.
Oh, well, I don't know you well enough to call that into doubt, but
Yeah, wait a second. Who are you? I've seen you around. You're that new night guard, right?
right, yeah, that's me.
And then what was it? It was like uh brunch or whatever.
Oh, he like does a quick glance down at his name tag and then he says, eggs, actually.
I'm just like you have to imagine like Archie like kind of like leans down to scrutinize the name tag and was like, I was close.
You were definitely in the same neighborhood.
So you're from like the breakfast land or something?
N- no, not 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 exactly. Is that a real place?
Archie stares for a long moment and then says, maybe? It seems to be about a themed town for just about anything you can imagine in Anquil.
Oh, fair enough.
So if you ain't from Breakfast Land, is it just that your parents named you after something to love? I would probably name a kid Golf if I had one.
Ooh. um, and X is like, yeah, let's go with that.
I'm gonna roll insight again to see
Sure.
if Archie picks up on the fact that Ace is just rolling with it. 8. Archie is completely like believing that yeah, that seems like a plausible thing.
I can't believe the stage animatronics are all gullible dumbasses. First Lexi, now Archie.
They aren't smart. They aren't meant to be world savvy. They're meant to interact with small children and families.
Hmm. To be fair,
Except for
calling
Lexi
out
was.
guests as liars is probably not the Raspberry brand way.
It's just so funny that since you would think that Razzie would be like the most gullible one, but clearly that's just a trait they all share.
He might still be the most gullible of them all. Who knows?
Okay, I would like to see Razzie in a game just to see like if the others are like this, what is he like?
Ooh. Hmm. One day we will find out. Uh, but yeah, I guess Archie just like nods and accepts this, and Eggs is like, internally just like, oh, I didn't think that would work. And
Sorry, continue. I was just laughing more.
that's always a good sign. Uh, I think he's like, uh, well, like I said, I might be new here, but I can tell that if you've really been breaking things like this for that long, it doesn't seem to be helping. Not at the root of the problem, whatever it might be.
Uh, and like Archie looks a little confused and then says, "Well, this is my outlet. What else am I supposed to do? Bottle it up?" He says, when clearly he also bottles it up.
What else am I supposed to do? Bottle it up? I'm already doing that too. And X is like, I mean, no, but neither bottling it up or taking it out on the furniture is especially like a healthy way of dealing
Well,
with.
what else am I supposed to do? It's not like there's a therapist around here. And then he sort of pauses and says, "Maybe the PartyPlex should invest in a therapist." But that's beside the point. The point is, and he like gestures back to his room. This is a healthy coping mechanism. Like another sign slightly falls off the wall.
No, it's not.
She kind of just like slowly looks back at Eggs and it's like, "What? Yeah, are you some sort of expert? Expert?"
I mean, not an expert exactly, but I happen to have some experience with something similar.
Experience. Archie is choosing violence in the form of puns.
He can roll insight.
I would love to run it. I just imagine like under the mask, Eggs probably just has like basically an expression equivalent to the live CC reaction. Oh, sorry. I was playing an EGAT earlier. My brain's still on exclamation point R.
Hmm. Well, it's above a 10. Finally.
Yay,
Uh,
minor achievement.
I think with an 11, um, X is like a little bit put out by the pun, but mostly he seems to be worried. Not who, you don't know. You only got an 11.
Just worried in general. He, Archie kind of like stares at Eggs for a second and then like slowly reaches out and awkwardly puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "Now look, I appreciate you checking in. And I understand your job as a night guard probably motivates you to try and mitigate property damage, but unless you know a licensed therapist, I'm not sure if there's much to be done."
Eggs, who also doesn't go to therapy, even though he probably needs it.
Needs it
Just
so
standing there.
much.
Just like, well, no, I don't know a therapist, and it's not really about the property damage. It's just. How do I put this? Uh, I've sort of been in a similar position, and I know that acting out and letting myself be angry felt really good in the moment, but it just wound up making everything so much worse.
Archie like slowly retracts his hand from Egg's shoulder and kind of like has a very contemplative look on his face, and then he kind of slowly nods and says, "Well, I'm, uh, I just don't really know what else to do, you know? It's not a tangible problem that I'm angry about. It's just me."
I mean, you could try talking to someone about it. It doesn't have to be a therapist, and it doesn't have to be me. It can be one of your friends, but like,
But I can't do that to them. Lexi lost her eyes. Razzie is gone. Cece's upset. Sonora's just been distant lately. I just don't know what to do.
that.
I just look. You're a recent hire. You don't know everything. I think you know about the attempted kidnapping stuff that happened. Awful. Gonna punch that perpetrator if they ever show their face again. Uh, but there's been more accidents than that, and I found that sometimes I had to make a tough call, and it ain't that easy to get over. So I'd rather just keep to myself and not bother anyone.
Well, I mean, I know I'm not one of your friends, but I'm here now, and I doubt there's anything you could say that would bother me. If you want to catch me up to speed on what I'm missing.
Like Archie has kind of like turned his back to Eggs and is just sort of like gazing at his room. Do you want to roll insight?
Sure.
Oh wait,
Another dirty 20.
Eggs is frighteningly good at reading this gator. But yeah, you can tell from like the way like Archie is sort of like his tail is swooshing. He's sort of like mumbling under his breath. He's clearly actually considering it. It's like Eggs has a good odds of actually getting some stuff out of this gator. And eventually, like Archie does turn around, and his expression is softer and a little sadder than it was, and he's like, "I just, I don't know if you can relate to this, but th- there used to be another band member, and I don't know what happened, but he started acting strange and went off the rails, and I had to, I, it was either him or me, and or guest, and I don't want to hurt anyone like that again. And I don't want to be hurt like that again, but so do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Is that I'd rather be distant.
Yeah, you know, I actually can relate to that a lot. Um,
Archie like looks at Eggs sharply and is kind of surprised and says, "You can?"
yeah. Um, I've had times where I felt like if I didn't distance myself from my friends, I was going to hurt them.
And mm, may I ask how that worked out?
Really, really badly.
Oh,
Everyone wound up getting hurt way worse anyway.
but I'm trying to avoid hurting others by doing this. No, I'm not. I'm, how can
Well,
I avoid hurting them if I'm just waltzing around like I used to? I can't protect them or myself in that case.
hmm. I think X is definitely taking a second to like think it over. I mean, it sounds like you didn't want to hurt your friend the first time, the one who uh you said it was him or you, right? It wasn't like you wanted to do that.
No, if I had had it my way, nothing ever would have happened. And I still don't understand fully why it happened or why me. Because he went to me. He out of all the places in the PartyPlex, he went to me and attacked me, and I just don't understand why that happened, you know? And since I don't know how it happened or why, I don't know how to like and like he kind of like his like mouth quivers a little bit and he gets like sounding like he might cry.
Yeah, I can relate to that too. Sometimes things happen and they don't really seem to have a reason, or at least not one we can understand.
Oh, he like he's aside and suddenly like he just like walks over to a wall and then just punches it. Stays there with his fist in it for a second, and then slowly pulls his hand out and walks back to Eggs and says, "So am I just supposed to go throughout the life just open to the possibility that everything might hurt me or crumble down or just go horribly wrong for no rhyme or reason?"
Well, when you put it like that, it sounds really bad, huh?
It does. The Potterplex is supposed to be an oasis in the world, right? It's supposed to be a place where families and kids can have fun and not worry about the day-to-day stressors. And me and my friends are supposed to be the idols of that, you know, rock stars. And how am I supposed to be cool-headed, cool guy if I keep worrying about things that shouldn't even be happening here?
Well, maybe Hmm. Maybe that's the thing. Instead of just worrying about what might happen, maybe trying to do something to prevent it from happening at all.
But how am I supposed to do that? Like the thing with my friend that was out of nowhere, and the kidnapper that was out of nowhere. So the only thing I've been expecting is normalcy, and then that screwed up. So then I've been expecting something bad to happen, and still bad things are happening. But at least this time, no one's tried to attack me.
Well, uh, I'm not exactly sure, but hmm, maybe trying to figure out a way where if someone does attack you again, maybe some kind of strategy for restraining them without having to hurt them, some kind of plan or tools for that.
Hmm. I have been and he kind of like flexes an arm working out. It ain't quite the same on as robots as humans, but and then he kind of squints at eggs and says, "Are you a human? I honestly can't tell." Uh, anyway, I have been building strength though, so I mean, ideally, I've become so strong that I can punch any problem in the face as easily as I punch a wall. And like he looks back over this wall, and I just want you to imagine there's like at least six like fist holes like in a row. Like the latest one is right at the end of the line.
Uh, I mean, I guess that's a step in the right direction towards feeling more secure, I guess.
Yes, that's one word for it. Uh, so I mean, kind of like awkwardly glances around and says, "Thanks for talking about it. I guess I do feel maybe slightly better."
Should I roll insight to see if he actually does or if he's just lying to get eggs out of his hair?
You can roll.
Okay, it's not another dirty 20. If it was three in a row, that would be something. 15.
I would say, if anything, Archie seems very confused about his own statement and current emotional state. It's sort of like a situation where he's like, yeah, maybe this is help. Maybe I can't. It's like his emotions are such a weird tangle of things that he can't quite figure out what they actually are at this current moment in time. But he is genuinely thanking Eggs for listening.
Aww.
Anyway, sorry you had similar experiences too. I mean, I certainly hope no one ever attacked you. You humans question mark are kind of squishy. I
You
want you
wanna
to know
roll?
he audibly said question mark.
You can roll insight.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
god, not 20.
Making it a 22 in total.
Finally making up for all those really, really bad insight rolls. Yeah, like, as Archie says, oh, I hope no one's ever attacked you, you can see Egg sort of like cringe in a way that means, yeah, someone definitely has attacked him. Uh,
Oof. Anything else from that, or just
I'm trying to remember what all got got said. Yeah, I think he also winces at the mention of humans being squishy. Like, ah, yes, he knows all too well. Uh, and I think he does say, yes, I am a human.
Archie takes from that? Someone attacked this poor squishy human, and like he put his hand back on Egg's shoulder, and suddenly like his grip strength increases a little bit, not to hurt Eggs, just a little bit more forceful, and says, "If anyone ever tries to hurt you, you come to me." I mean, and then he sort of pauses and blinks and says, I mean, you're the night guy, but I mean, like, you're Strimpy. I'm talking about if, like, anyone tough, heavy duty comes here, I'll punch him in the face for you. Consider me your god dog. Guard. God. Guard Gator.
Well, that's very nice of you to offer, but I I prefer to handle my own problems, which probably sounds a bit hypocritical given how this conversation has gone so far, but
Oh, yeah, that's definitely hypocritical, but, nonetheless, I appreciate it, and you do you, mysterious brunch guard. Actually, have you considered the irony that you're named after a breakfast food, but you only work here at night?
you know, I haven't really thought about it that way. I'm definitely going to think about it now.
I like to imagine they just both stand in silence for a minute thinking about it.
I think Handy is like snickering the whole time.
I think like Archie finally like turns his attention back to the watch and says, "So if it ain't a glitch, is it like a miracle or magic nonsense?" And he like sort of taps Sandy.
Handy's like, hey, don't just shove your hand in someone's face without asking.
Sorry, sorry. Uh, but ain't that how anyone would operate you?
It's just glaring at him.
Archie
I-
looks at Iggs and kind of mutters, "I think I touched a nerve."
uh, don't take it too personally. I don't think it really likes anyone. Um, and yeah, it was some magic nonsense, I guess. Wild magic surge.
Archie nods at that. And then he's like still staring at Handy, and like you can slowly see he's reaching out another claw to poke again.
Handy glaring like.
I want you to imagine like Archie like nearly gets to touching the watch and then pulls his fingers away again. He wants to poke, but he won't.
Honestly, Eggs probably pulled his wrist back a little as well.
So you named him it Handy? Wouldn't it be more like wristy? It's on your wrist.
Uh, wasn't really me who picked the name. Harlequinette mentioned something offhand, and it seemed to like it.
Archie kind of like want to roll insight on Archie?
Yes.
At the
17.
mention of Harley Quinn, you can see that Archie sort of had like a brief look of surprise that kind of then leveled back out.
Egg's watching this. Oh, it's true, you aren't the most fond of Harlequinette.
Uh, well, I mean, who told you that?
Uh, Handy.
Archie looks at the watch again and kind of like squints and says, "And who told it that?"
Nobody had to tell me. I can, uh, I've, I've got, hang on, how do I word this? Uh,
I got eyes everywhere.
Nobody had to tell me. I've got my ways of knowing. And then makes a little sticking out tongue emoticon on the screen.
Archie just squints a little harder and says, "I don't know how to feel about that. Uh, well, okay, keep your secrets. But yeah. I mean, it ain't like I hate Harley Quinn or anything. I ain't got no grudge against them. I just they're a little creepy. I mean, kids seem to like them well enough, and Ajax, the arcade guy, likes them, and the clowns like them, and in general, they seem to be good and upstanding and whatnot. But I just have you seen the face? Like, in the tendency to stay in the dark and look, you see that sort of face while you're just down in like the sub tunnels and the dock is looking at you, and that's just like, no, no, sir.
I think X is like nodding along through that. You can roll insight.
This is like rolling inside the game,
Most FPSs are, to be fair.
honestly, yeah. 14?
14. With a 14, seems like Eggs is, not just listening and perhaps has experienced this. Maybe on one of his night patrols, he ran into the Harlequinette in a dark, shadowy corner, exactly as as Archie is describing. But he he's 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 got some personal experience and can agree with how creepy it would be to see Harlequinette's face in a dark room.
Like Archie nods at Eggs nodding along and says, "Yeah, you get it." Uh, Ajax told me it ain't nothing personal, cause I mean, for the longest time, I kind of thought maybe Harley Quinn was like upset at me because I would see them in the rafters looking at me, hanging around. Apparently, they just do that to everyone.
Oh, they do?
I guess so. It's like they are security, and even Jackie can be a little creepy when she's in security mode. I guess it's like the defense. Like in a way, it kind of makes sense. If I was some crook and I came into a building wanting to rob stuff, and then I saw a clown hanging onto a rafter, I'd be like, nope. But I don't think like Jackie, has like the two-face thing. She switches from security to daycare and back. Uh, I think Harley might just be security 24/7. They don't have a cuter mode.
Right. So they're just. I mean, I haven't really been here in the day. They're just like that all the time.
I mean, maybe they ease up. I mean, to be honest, I don't really leave my attraction much. The golf. Uh, so I can't say I've watched them 24/7. But that I mean they ease up a little bit around kids and families. But they always got that keen look in their eye. Or maybe I'm just projecting, given their eyes are usually like empty sockets. Makes it hard to tell where exactly they're looking though.
Only usually? I think I've only ever seen them with the blank eyes.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much always blink. I think they get pupils sometimes. I've seen it like a few times quickly, but I don't know. I think it's for like dramatic effect. And he so like wiggles his fingers.
Hmm. I mean, that might be it. They're, tune after all, right?
Yeah, same as the rest of us. Of course, sometimes I get confused. I guess since we're tune made, we're toons, even though we're animatronics. But yeah, they're a toon. No, I mean, what else about? I mean, I feel like I might have judged them too harshly in the past. Like, I've never been rude to them, but they're security, they're the price corner bot. I don't think it's their fault they've been made creepy. Might be kind of their fault for climbing around like a demented spider, though.
Yeah, probably not entirely their fault, at least.
Yeah, look, the darndest thing is that I think they like to listen in on people's conversation. That I'm a little bit more weirded out by because I was talking with Ajax about them, and then would you guess it? Up in the rafters, there they are.
I think X, like, immediately looks up to the ceiling to see if they're in there right now.
Luckily, Archie's room does not have those upper rafters. But Archie sees Ajax looking, and then he like quickly leans out his like door to make sure like Harley Quinn isn't like just lurking in the hallway. He leans back in and closes the door again and says, I think they at least respect the privacy of a room."
Well, that's something.
Mhm. Oh, here's another. I swear, sometimes I think I'm the only one who sees some of the stuff that goes on around here. Uh, but I swear, I've been up in Archie Golf. I can't remember what was going on, but I saw them in a vent with binoculars and popcorn. I've seen a couple places for popcorn. Actually, I think it's like their hobby.
Oh, well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that tonight.
Learning so much interesting information, huh? Archie nods and says, "Yep, I tell you, the clowns are eccentric."
They definitely seem that way.
Now, you probably ain't met Cece yet, have you?
I don't think I have. No.
I mean, honestly, more than Harley Quinn, you humans gotta watch out for her. I ain't think she actually gonna hurt anyone, but she's got a sharp edge to her.
Hmm. Well, that's good to know, I guess.
Archie nods, and then kind of like pats Eggs on the back. So, there's just a lot to learn when you're a newbie. And I wish you all the best in trying to figure your way around here and meeting people. And don't let my opinion of Harley Quinn sway you. I know some people are afraid of clowns, and I'm slightly embarrassed to admit I might be one of them, but only when they're taller than 6 feet or 7 feet. Or I mean, Jackie's pretty tall too, but somehow it reads different.
So you're not scared of Jackie the way you are of Harlequinette?
Yeah, and I mean, Cece's not too scary either. Uh, I don't know. Maybe it's the gesture or something. Or the face. Again, I'm pretty sure it's the face. That wide, gaping smile, empty eyes, lanky, lanky figure.
Well, maybe it's not even their appearance. Are there other things they do besides watching from the rafters that might be behind it?
Well, if it ain't that stuff, what is it?
I don't know. Like you
Like a
said, I'm a
vibe?
newbie here. Maybe they're doing something creepy that I haven't seen them do yet.
Archie sort of raises a brow at that and says, "That sounds a bit more acu- ac- like an accusation than I think you meant it to."
Maybe. Yeah.
No, I do wonder. Like, I've been kind of distant, and I can't say I was ever like super close with Harlequinette. They were part of a new wave of animatronics that came after me and Lexi and whatnot, and I sort of like didn't really get as well acquainted with those guys because I was always with my band or with kids. So I have been kind of curious about them, and I've been hesitantly trying to get a little bit back out of my shell. Well, let me tell you, they're kind of hard to pin down. You think they'd be in the prize corner, but because of the security patrols, they're all around all over the place.
Hmm. Yeah. I guess you could say I'm curious about them too. Though I don't really want that getting back to them.
Could you repeat that last bit?
Oh, I've gotten too quiet. Um.
Yeah, so Eggs has been slowly receding lately.
Sorry. Oh, his voice is giving out. Oh no, he's not used to talking this much. He's like, well, I guess you could say I'm curious about them too, though I don't really want that getting back to them.
Look, I can't promise that your little watch wouldn't squawk, but as long as Harlequinette ain't listening through a wall, then your secret's safe with me.
Aww, how sweet. Immediately broken by Handy yelling, hey, I'm not a fucking snitch!
Language? You can't go talking like that. This is a children's establishment.
Are there any. You see any kids here right now? It's the middle of the goddamn night.
I don't know. We've had a kid locked in here overnight. Man, that was a night. That was. Don't get me started. Uh, I've also seen like a little rat thing or something running around. I don't know.
A rat thing?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a bunny. I don't know. It's a raggedy little thing. I think it thinks I don't see it, but I think a lot of people think I'm less smart than I am. So I wouldn't exactly say I would be graduating Juilliard or anything.
Hmm. And if it's been here more than once, that probably is, something the security guards should look into. Whereabouts have you seen it?
Eh, just kind of running through the bushes and gator golf.
Hmm. Well, I might have to take a look. Last thing this place needs is a pest infestation, if it is a rat, or an intruder.
Archie nods. And then he kind of like thinks quietly for a moment and then says, "So, what did you come here originally for anyway?"
Uh, Originally, I wanted to ask you about, uh, Harlequinette, and,
Oh wow, we circled right to that, huh?
yeah, that worked out pretty well, I think.
I gotta ask. So, if you're coming here to ask me about them, do you have a reason to suspect something's up with them? And would you like to roll another insight in this game of insight?
Sure, I was about to say, do you want to roll insight?
Let's just do it like simultaneous insights.
Sure. 9.
Five.
5. Oof. Oh, man.
Archie sure is asking a question.
Hmm. And Eggs, like, pauses a moment before, uh, answering, and is like, oh, I've just heard, different interesting things about them from people, and, well, they are, technically my boss, so, if there's anything about them I should know, I would, certainly like to find out.
Ah, well, I suppose that makes sense. For a second, I got worried that something was actually wrong. Because I mean, he kind of looks around and then leans in and says, "My friend, the one who went off the rails, I don't feel like there was a lot of warning signs, but I do sometimes think, looking back, they might have been acting a little odd, and I kind of worried about it happening again. For all we know, it could have been some sort of virus." Or spontaneous mental breakdown. I've kind of weighed the two. Both are bad, but I would kind of almost prefer the latter just because then it couldn't happen again, presumably.
Well, I definitely don't think, uh, a virus is something to worry about for making Harlequinette act like they do.
I guess so, but uh, still, I'm talking about just with anyone in general here. If it's a robot, we could be in danger of something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just becoming paranoid.
Well, I'm sure if something were to happen, the security team would know about it. They've hired on a lot of people recently, right? So,
Yeah, like you. So
right, like me. So they're probably, prepared to handle something going wrong.
I mean, that's your hope. So what else are we paying you for?
Right. Uh, but I just mean it's probably not something you have to worry about.
Right. I ought to keep that in mind more often, but
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like I've made this conversation awkward somehow.
Is it?
Archie, bless
Uh,
his heart, is becoming increasingly unsure if he somehow lengthened this conversation to an awkward state by asking further about why Eggs was asking about Harley Quinn.
X like, is this awkward? I I don't have a lot of, practice making conversation.
Maybe it's awkward by my standards since, I mean, most of the conversations I'm with are with like hyperactive little kids that can't even be silent for a moment, you know? So in my mind, it's like silence equals awkward. But maybe that's just a warped perception. Staring at each other in complete silence. And like you can slowly see like little sweat, cartoon sweat droplets starting to form on Archie's head. See, see, it feels awkward.
uh, sorry, maybe I should go back to my security rounds then.
I mean, I don't mean to seem like I'm chasing you out of here. I'm okay with awkward. And like suddenly he feels like he's being a bad host, and like he suddenly like turns around to his room and starts picking stuff up. You could hang here if you want for a while, or not. I mean, you do have a job, and I guess I did just say what are we paying you for? Probably not to laze around and hang out with Archie, but I mean, if you wanted to come back during the day and do that, I'd be open to it.
Wow! My god, what a sweetheart.
Please imagine as he's saying this, he's gathered stuff up and just starts trying to shove it under his couch.
I mean, um, so far I've kind of been avoiding this place during the day. I don't want to scare the kids. Um,
I'm gonna be honest, I think you're kind of overestimating how scary you look. You look like a teenage trick or treater with how lanky and dressed up you are. Just wear like a brightly colored outfit during the day, and I'm sure you'll blend right in.
yeah, that probably would go a long way.
My recommendation is to buy a hoodie with my face on it. And then he like winks and like matches a poster that's up on the wall.
uh, honestly, I think Eggs laughs a little bit and is like, well, I will have to take that into consideration.
Besides, I mean, if you want to get a better understanding of Harlequinette, why not come during when they're doing their main job?
You know, you make a very good point.
Just imagine like Archie almost has to blink in surprise because it's like, oh, wow, I just came up with a good idea. Wow. Yep, pretty good at coming up with ideas and whatnot. And he still shows this like shoving even more stuff under the couch to the point where he's starting to rise a little bit on one side.
is there is there anything else we should do in the FPS that I am just not that I am just blanking on right now?
Not really. I think we've hit all the beats. I would say that, Archie finishes shoving stuff under his couch, stands up and kind of like has his hands on his hip, looking down it for a second, and like he has the face of someone who's realized this ain't gonna work, but he's committed to it. So he just sort of like grumbles and nods a little bit, and then walks over to his little what you might call it, the vanity sort of thing,
Mhm.
and he grabs like opens the drawer and grabs out a pass and hands it to Eggs Florentine and says, "This will get us into my room, and it also includes a coupon for some of the restaurants here if you want to come during the day."
Wow. That's very nice of you. I yeah, maybe I will stop by one of these days.
Yeah, I feel that, help you get to know the place as it is intended to be during the day instead of all vacant and creepy at night. Of course, you kind of look like you fit vacant and creepy. I mean, I'm sorry, calling you vacant kind of sounds like an insult. And you ain't creep. I mean, you just look like you look like kind of goth. Is what I'm trying to get at. Like you ain't goth, but you have the vibes.
Well, I don't know what to do with that information.
And like Archie is like now like squinting and like thinking very deeply, like with a hand on his chin, and then he snaps his fingers, points at Eggs, and says, "I think you're emo. Actually, you should get a haircut." Dye it.
Handy is laughing.
I just imagine like on Handy's screens is like the laugh cry emoji.
Yes.
There's a hair salon in the Speedway. You could probably get an employee discount.
Cool. I'm not going to do that.
All right, fair enough.
uh, yeah, I should probably uh, get back to my patrol then, but I will see you another time. Uh,
Yep.
and he sort of like holds up the pass to indicate yes, he will use that to see you another time, and then tucks it into his pocket.
Yeah. Archie smiles and kind of leans and opens the door and ushers Eggs out. And then, like, as Eggs is walking away, he shoots finger guns and says, "Don't forget to buy a shirt with my face on it."
Right. Uh, yeah. Uh, take take care of yourself, Archie.
Have a good one. And like he retreats back into his room, closing the door. And then he just sort of looks at his destroyed room, sighs, and just starts cleaning up some more.
I have a gag in mind. Just picture, the couch with one end lifted up by all the stuff crammed under it.
Uh huh.
Sitting down on that end of the couch and crushing all the stuff under it.
I'm like, yeah. Just heaves aside, slogs to it, sits down,
Crunch.
crunch. For a second, my brain thought you were gonna say like under the couch was also Harley Quinnet.
I mean, that's up to you.
I don't think they would intrude on rooms, but I do want to say maybe as Eggs is like walking back through the whatever we've decided to call the Rockstar Row equivalent, like that he can like see like Harley Quinnet up in the rafters, kind of just moving along, and they stop and like look at him, and then give a little wave and continue on their journey.
And he, like, watches them go, squinting a little skeptically. Yeah,
I think mission accomplished.
mission
We
accomplished.
have had an excellent FPS.
Ooh. This was fun.
This is fun.
So yeah, thank you for playing. Thanks, Doll, for listening, and anyone who listens to the recording. See y'all next time.